Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. For our members, bright morning. Welcome. My name is James Momo. I am going to be your MC for the day. And allow me to introduce our special guest and presenter this evening. Her name is Carol Njoki. Carol has previously worked with the diplomatic mission for over 19 years. And at this position, she was a huge decision maker at that particular place. And after working for 19 years, she decided to go into full-time entrepreneurship. She's a certified wellness coach, and she's now been 4 years fully in business. This is a very first business that she started, and it is a very successful business as well for her. In this business, she was able to be awarded what we call a car award, which is a vehicle worth $12,500 within 8 months of starting this business. So you know that is someone who is aware of how to do this business. In the business, she's also been awarded 3 international travel awards, and she was able to travel to Thailand, to Hong Kong. In 2024, she traveled to the USA. And about 1 or 2 weeks ago, she recently went to the Maldives. And of course, I'm sure there are so many stories as well that she will be able to share with us this evening. She's extremely passionate about equitable health and wellness. And you can even see it from all the psych that she has, especially around women and her flow method. She's able to help women be able to get their health back, get their wealth back. And allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to welcome our speaker of the day, Carol Njoki, to take over the presentation. Welcome, Carol.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, James. Thank you so much for that introduction. Good evening, everyone. Like you've heard, my name is Carol Njoki, and I'm very, very delighted to share with you this evening and largely sharing with you my insights from the Maldives. I am, like you've heard, very, very, very passionate about health, wellness, and wealth, equitable wealth distribution, especially in the 21st century. We are coming from a background where we were told that there were families that were dynasties, there were families that had wealth, there were families that were able to make a lot of money, and everybody else was largely an employee. But in the 21st century, we have gathered, and we can tell from the strides that are happening in the technology space that wealth and ability to make wealth is literally in our hands and in our brains, and that each one of us, God has given an ability and a gift with which we can expand, be healthy, be wealthy, and actually touch lives. So tonight, allow me to share with you my journey into the Maldives, and in between, I will be sharing with you aspects of my life, my journey in business, and how I got to get to the Maldives. If you're able to see my screen, just 1 second. If you're able to see my screen, kindly give me a 1 in the chat box. Give me a 1 in the chat box. I like to be very interactive in my sessions. If you're able to see that nice turquoise color. Now, I'll tell you quite a bit about the Maldives. The waters in the Maldives, like you can see in the background, are exactly the color of this presentation. They are actually turquoise. They're not blue, the normal blue that we know, or they're not clear, the normal clear of water, but they are very, very serene and very pure. So they are a turquoise color. And like you can see in the background of that picture, you what you can see, the waters that you can see there is actually the Indian Ocean. Where are the Maldives? The Maldives are a group of islands that are in the Indian Ocean, closer to India than to Africa, closer to Australia than Africa, and they're a group of 1,200 islands, some of which are not habited, some of which are very tiny. And one of the ones that we went to is actually 1.5 kilometers wide. Now, that is a very small island if you think about it. If you think about a distance of 1.5 kilometers, that is very short. But you'd be surprised about the richness or the wealth that the Maldives have. Maybe not in the way that we describe wealth, but I'll be telling you a bit about that. So why the Maldives? Why not? I remember a time like this last year when we sat in a meeting with the company executives and some business people or business partners that we usually sit once a month to discuss how our business is going to run. And part of the discussion on that day, which was still September last year, was where should we go in 2025? And there was a list of countries, many of which I thought to myself, if we go to some of these countries, it is so easy to get to those countries, so it won't be any special, until I noticed that Maldives was actually on the list. And several of us said we want to go to the Maldives. So why the Maldives? In a sense, I had never actually ever thought about traveling to the Maldives. The only one time we had a discussion was a few months prior to that, when one of our leaders said that, you know what, we can take a trip to the Maldives. But when we checked the prices, they were forbidding. In fact, the lowest quote that we got for the Maldives back then was 550,000 Kenya shillings per person. And we thought to ourselves, well, that's a bit pricey. And if we may not be able to take enough people to make the trip worthwhile. And like they say, if you can conceive it, you can actually get it. So we dreamt about the Maldives and presented the request to the company, and lo and behold, we were given what we'd asked for. Now, I want you to imagine with me for a minute, you packing your bags, headed to the Maldives. By the way, from Africa, the easiest way to get to the Maldives is through Qatar. And from Qatar, you take a 5 or so hour flight to Male. Male is the capital city of the Maldives, and the airport is known as Velana. Think with me for a minute. You've packed your bags, you're headed to the Maldives, you haven't even chosen which islands you're going to visit, but you know you're going to the Maldives. When I packed my bags to go to the Maldives, my greatest concern was that it is, or they are, landlocked islands that are only accessible via water, and I cannot swim. I fear large bodies of water. I don't like heights. I don't like closed spaces. And there I was, headed to the Maldives. I don't know if we have anyone here who's got any fears about life, about animals, about heights, about anything. If you have any fear of any sort, kindly chat for me, write for me in the chat box. Any fear of any sort. Because 2 weeks ago, I couldn't even fathom how I was going to enjoy this holiday because of the many fears that I was carrying with me besides my bags. And Dorothy says fear of heights, Pauline height, Crispina height. I guess this is a very common fear. Anybody else with a fear that they've carried with them or a fear that bothers them here and there? Sometimes they're not very obvious, but once in a while, when you get into a situation, excellent. Major Kiva has another sort of fear. The fear of living on paychecks and brokenness. Excellent. Petrie says large volumes of water. Josephine spiders. Gladys heights and waters. Anybody else? Do we have other sorts of fears? I am particularly very, very attracted to the one that Major Kiva has written. Maureen says large water bodies. Joy says tugunyo and water. For those that do not understand that French, it means crawly little things, anything that has no bone in them, like caterpillars, like worms, all those little things. Any other sorts of fears? Does any one of us have a type of fear that is not nature? Because most of us have written nature. Yes, Mumo says fear of failure. Hannah says next. Do we have any other fears that are not nature, that are not the things that God created? Like the one that Mumo has given us. Do we have any other fears now? I'd like to see other fears that are not creations. Joyce Daniel has a fear for poverty. Any other? Major Kiva has a fear of living paycheck to paycheck. I guess sometimes Perry says fear of being misunderstood and fear of failure. Sometimes, thank you so much for those answers. Fear of being disliked by people, fear of not to be able to provide for my kids. Yes, all these are fears, fears of the unknown. Excellent. And you know what? Isn't it also that people fear entrepreneurship, especially in this country where so many people have done businesses and have failed or have learned how not to do the business? If you've ever started a business and it didn't go the way you wanted and you had to close it, kindly give me a 2 in the chat box. Anyango says fear of falling and loud noises. Stage fright from Rehab. Do you have any other types of fears? All right. I am saying that, you know what? Very many times, many of us have got fears to start businesses, fears to get caught up in starting something that they haven't done before. And that is part of the reason so many of us have stayed away from entrepreneurship. Believe it or not, I have been a career employee. Straight from college, I got employed the following month after leaving college. And therefore, I had never known how entrepreneurship feels like. I come from a family of largely employees. My parents were employees. Most of my siblings have been employees or are still employees. And I had no blueprint of how business is done. I had no interest in business prior to getting into the space of network marketing. And I had no one to show me the way from the family or anyone to encourage me that this could be a good way. In fact, some of the greatest fears that my family members held were that I had once before said that I was going to resign from my job. So when it came to resigning in 2022, when I wrote that resignation after exactly 19 years with my former employer, the Australian High Commission, I did not tell anyone. I took the leap quietly, consciously, and very convicted that I was doing the right thing. Yet inside me, of course, because I'm human, there were a bit of what if, what if. But I will tell you this. Within the 1.5 years that I had been in this business on a part-time basis, I knew that success required me to step into the unknown, and the unknown I did step into. And this has been the same journey that I took to the Maldives. Like I said to you, when I packed my bags to go to the Maldives, I was claustrophobic. I feared closed places, whether it is an aeroplane, whether it is a lift, whether it is a small island like the ones we were on that are just about 1.5 kilometers. I feared heights. If you look at that picture, it is not very well illustrative of how high we were. I have tried to download some of those photos and there are so many. So one of the things that I did was to actually just screenshot this one from the videos, but it does not give the correct impression of how high we were, because we were definitely way higher than we look in that picture. And because I was working on my fear of heights and of course the fear of the water below, the gentleman I was with had to keep talking to me to distract me from the water below. And you can tell I'm not looking at the water. I was actually looking at another island that I had not seen from the ground because it was so way up. We could be able to see all the little islands across the Maldives. And that is how I got myself to step into the space of believing that somebody else was able to do it, I could do it. In fact, in our speedboat, we were the third set of people to take this parachute to do the parasailing. So in essence, I wanted us to be third so that people can go before me and others can go after me. And believe it or not, the only should I say, the only safety net that you have when you're on this parachute is the harness that is connected between that bar and the harness that you're seated on. You're literally seated on ropes, and below you is a large mass of water. The only thing I had is a lifeboat, and a lifeboat really doesn't help you swim, it helps you to float. Remember, this was day one. I had not learned how to swim, but I took the leap of faith. I took the leap of faith because others had done it. Tonight, I want you to consider taking a leap of faith, an entrepreneurial journey that most probably you have heard so much about. Most probably you have tried before and learned very many ways of how it doesn't work, but never ever getting to learn how it works. I'll tell you 3 things that helped me be able to take this leap. 1, I saw others do it. Tonight, we are telling you about other people that have done it. Two, I was assured by our guides that this harness is safe. And in the event that I fell into the water, I have a life jacket, and so I will float, and that there are lifesavers all around, carefully watching if there's any incident. And of course, there was none. And number three, my colleagues were cheering me on, telling me, Carol, you can do it. And tonight, I want to say the same to you, that no matter how many times you have tried and the entrepreneurial journey did not go the way you expected, this is yet another time for you to try. And not just try, to take a leap of faith into this journey. Because even us, when we started, we were not clear of what or where we would be 2 years on, 3 years on, 4 years on, like myself. But the only thing that I knew was that if others have done it, I can do it too. If others are showing me the way, I will go the way. And more importantly, that there is a beaten, known, successful path that leads you and I to understand and be able to take the journey. And so today I call you to design your life and your lifestyle. The journey to the Maldives was a journey that allowed me to dream beyond any dreams that I've ever had. The beauty with this opportunity that I'm presenting to you tonight is that the places that the company chooses for us to go are places that you rarely think of going on your own, and therefore they are places that expand your thinking. There are places that expand your dreaming. There are places that create possibilities for you. Unfortunately, the education system, the world around us, our family members that love us so much but that have failed before are protecting us from dreaming and sometimes curtailing our dreams. As you look at that car, it is a car that was awarded to one of us, though not the lady standing against it. The only reason I used this picture is because I really wanted to tell you that you can stand against it and the next year it will be yours. These sort of awards have been given by this company for the last 14 years. Unfortunately, because so many of us have been taught how not to dream, there will be people saying, yes, it is written BF Suma, but it was not given by BF Suma. The money that they used to buy did not come from BF Suma. The trip that she took to the Maldives, she paid for herself. And such is life. There'll be people saying those villas, those water villas actually are not sitting on water. I'll tell you this, that villa is literally below, right round about 1.5 meters above water. And on one of the nights, the waves were so high that they splashed water onto the balcony of these villas. But what I told myself is this: these villas have been there for tens of years and they've held. So they're going to hold even on the nights I was there. Just like your dream. If you cannot revive it yourself, there may be nobody to revive it for you. If you do not take a leap to design your life and your lifestyle, probably you will have to contend with your life the way it is. In the chat box, kindly share with me a dream that you have had for years, but which you could have shelved because of the things that people have told you that are possible or that are not possible. I see that what you have written, Major, but this presentation is not meant for that kind of a session. So you will need to come to another session that will touch on the things that you need touched on. Somebody says there's no sound, but I am sure I have sound. Otherwise, all the people that have been communicating with me would not be able to communicate. And like you have been asked, you need to check on sound on your end. I am waiting to see what sort of dreams that you've had over the years that could have either been stifled by the environment that you are in, by the people that you have come across, by the experiences that you have had in life, or even by the failures or the many trials that you've had that have not resorted to the dreams that you had envisioned. Kindly, if you could share with me some of those dreams. I am waiting to hear the dreams. Yes, I'm aware that you can hear me, so no need to answer that anymore. Kindly just share with me some of the dreams that you've had, William, Abigail, Joseph, Daktari. I am waiting to hear the dreams that you've had before, or the dreams that you still carry with you that you have not yet achieved, that you still hope that one day you will be. Crispina, when you say financial freedom, exactly what do you mean? Janet, when you say become an international entrepreneur, you know, sometimes we use very big words that if you say it to a 3-year-old, if you say it to your class 1, grade 1 child, they would not understand what you mean. Joseph, I would like to know the exact dream. Becoming a dollar millionaire is honestly not something that you're able to paint a picture of. I would like to see a dream that you're able, if you tell me, I can paint a picture in my mind. If you tell me that I would like to drive, you know, a Mercedes GLE, if you tell me that I would like to build a 4-storied mansion, then I get the vision. Momo says, I have a dream of building a resort style mansion on the side of a hill that you can see from kilometers away. It has over 10 bedrooms, an Olympic style swimming pool. That paints a picture in my mind. I can actually see that mansion across a hill. God says, live in a lavish house, travel the world, have enough money to manage my need. That again fails to paint a picture. When you say a lavish house, I would like to see what is your idea of lavish. You know, when Momo says build a resort on a hill, if he was telling a 10-year-old, they can be able to envision that. Travel the world. Maybe you might need to name for me 2-3 destinations that you would want to travel. Right now, for me, I would like to take a cruise along the Mediterranean so that on one morning I dock in Italy, the next morning I dock in Spain, the next morning I dock in Monaco, and so on and so forth, and maybe even Greece. General says, earn 1 million Kenya shillings. I've seen that per month from BF Suma because it is doable, and establish a retirement home for the aged in the Raka to give back to the community. Excellent, very clear. Establish and home for the aged, specifically in Tharaka, because it is possible. Techno says starting and running my own business. I'm a second-year student at Maseno University, currently pursuing media and communication. Apart from that, I have a dream of opening my own company like that of Tyler Perry. Excellent. That is clear. That is possible. It is a dream that is what this student would like to achieve. Benjamin says, I'm dreaming that one day my money will work for me. Money will work for me, good, but not good enough. Dreams are supposed to be so clear, because if you tell a 5-year-old that my money works for me, they will not understand exactly what you mean. So one of the self-work that I'll ask of you when you leave this space is to be able to write your dream in such a way that if a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old gets hold of that writer, that dream, they can exactly see what you're saying. One of my dreams has been to start finishing school for young adult women. A finishing school is a place where people get taught etiquette, personal branding, how to carry themselves, public speaking, and so on and so forth. They get taught confidence, they get taught, how to groom themselves, and so on and so forth. And I can see that finishing school. One of my other dreams has been to be able to have a revolving fund to help needy women. I have a bias for women and girls to complete their studies, start businesses, and take care of their families. We can go on with these dreams, but usually one of the hardest things that happens to each one of us is that many a time we choose fear over freedom. On so many occasions, unfortunately, we lean on the side of fear instead of on the side of freedom. On this particular day, it was the first day when we arrived in the Maldives, and I had not gotten into the ocean waters. I had come on a speedboat from the airport, and I had all the fear about the ocean waters in me. And like I said, you can see the turquoise waters, very clear, very beautiful. And this gentleman was getting us from the speedboat onto a small island on which we were going to go and prepare for snorkeling, and on which we were going to have barbecue lunch. But I was still very, very scared of water. And what happened on this particular moment is that he was trying to pull me into the deep seas. And of course, he had discovered that I was fearful. And you can see how hard I held on to him. I wish you can see the series of the other pictures, because somebody decided to take a series of pictures as I was moving from these waters until I got to the small island that was such a really interesting scene as I, really sort of fought with this gentleman to get me onto dry land. That was my moment of fear. But I can tell you that that was the last time that I feared deep waters. From that moment, I went on to do snorkeling. Snorkeling is a game where you wear your gas mask, so to call it, or the gadget that I don't know what it's called, the gadget that helps you to breathe in deep waters. It must have a name. I don't know what it's called. If you know what it's called, you can write for us in the chat box. you dive into the ocean with a guide, or the guide is taking a picture of you whilst in the ocean, and you're able to see the depth of the ocean. I can tell you, part of the things that I thought about in that ocean is how God has created magnificent sights in every different places. But besides that, it was a moment during which I chose freedom over fear. I could have allowed myself to be stopped by fears that I've carried all my life. Fears of large water bodies, fears of enclosed places. Because in a sense, when you're inside the water, it is an enclosed space. Fear of heights, fear of speed. And these boats really were taking very high speeds across from one island to the next, or from the airport to the island. But I chose conquer those fears. So tonight, I ask of you, what is the worst that can happen? What if, even having started a business and not got the results that you would have liked, you tell yourself that I am going to start again. You tell yourself, if Carol and others have done it, all the people that went to the Maldives with me are people that have built businesses to a certain level. There are others that will be going to South Africa next month that have also built business to a certain level. The others that went to Masai Mara last year that have also built business to a certain level. There are others who are working to get their car next year. Others got their cars this year. Different people are at different stages of their business. And that does not mean that any of them is slower or is weaker than the other. It just simply means each one of us is at a different level in their journey. And so when you get started tonight or tomorrow, you will start your journey at a different place, at a different season. Does that make you any less than people who started 10 years ago? No. Does that make you any less than people who started 13, 15 years ago? No. Does that make you any less than the person who will start next year? No. But bigger question is, will you choose freedom, or will you allow yourself to stay stuck in the fears of your parents, in the fears of your colleagues? What will they say? What if I fail? What if people reject my idea? Can I tell you this? Freedom is the real luxury. Yet freedom does not come in the absence of rejection. Freedom does not come in the absence of failure. Freedom does not come in the absence of hard work. Many have been told that network marketing businesses are a scam. Network marketing businesses are pyramids. My clarion call to you tonight is to ask you to take a journey to discover for yourself. Because if I give you an opportunity to buy soap, to buy toothpaste, to buy an immune booster, to buy a vitamin, to buy a lotion from this particular shop, and then you get paid for buying, how does that make that transaction a pyramid scheme? How does that make that process a scam? Whilst working at the Australian High Commission, the job was very good. I actually had pretty good perks with my job. I grew to the highest level that I would have grown as a non-Australian, working with the Australian Department of Home Affairs. But yet, it did not accord me freedom to do some of the things that I am able to do now. I was yearning for space to be able to explore. I was looking forward to a season where I would be able to spend my time speaking with other people on how they can improve their health, on how they can expand their thinking, on how they can make an extra income. Because I felt that my job was confining me to a space where only the people that had the job could be able to make some money. But this opportunity was giving me the freedom to be able to expand and invite everybody into the system. And I know you're a guest there. You could have been invited to this session, and you're asking yourself, how then will I be able to get plugged in? First of all, I would like to gladly tell you that we have a proven system. And as the people that have invited you here have gone on further to create a breakdown of how you can be able to explore further this opportunity in the new era of technology, in the new era of AI, in a new era where a lot is happening online. And therefore, we are inviting you to a space where we have proven that things can actually work, to a space where we have proven that you can actually afford your dreams, your luxury, your freedom. You choose one of these packages. These are the three main packages around which you can get started. That doesn't mean you can't get started with a lot more or in between. For example, you can get started in between 11,000 and 50,000. You can get started in between 50,000 and 160,000, but these are the key packages. If you get started with the package of 11,000 as your investment, your total reward on top of having a proven business system, on top of having a training back office that teaches you about the products that we work with, what they do for us, how you can sell them, how you can use them. It'll also give you a system of how your business is growing so that you can be able to monitor your business on a day-to-day basis. But on top of all that, the 11,000 will give you back 10,600 because the 11,000 comes with a product, an immune booster that you can sell and get back your money. If you start on the second package of 50,000, you will actually, at the end of the month, be able to have 65,350 in total from your 50,000 investment. And if you start with the investment of 160,000 on top of everything else that I've told you, the system, the back office, the monitoring of your business, mastermind group of people that will train you on personal development, on self-branding, on doing business with AI, on how to grow a network organization of your business, and so many other things, you'll also be able to make or get back 223,500 shillings after investing 160,000 Kenya shillings. The details of how you can do that will be told to you by the person that invited you here. But very quickly so, Just so that you don't ask yourself, is it just Caro who does this? I would like to invite some other members or business partners that we work with so that you can hear in short how they have done this. So Mumo, kindly allow Josephine Osumo to speak to us. Josephine?
Yes, Carol, I'm on.
We can hear you. Kindly go on.
Oh, bright morning, everybody. My name, as you've heard, is Josephine Osumo. And before joining this amazing opportunity, I was working for a NGO, a fully funded NGO by the US government. And one day in January this year, I woke up and discovered that, wow, the job had ended. There was no longer any work because the program that we were doing had been cancelled by the President of the United States. What did this mean for me? It meant that I had to now think, what will I do? What is it that I'm going to do to be able to get money that I've been getting month on month? I had joined BF Suma earlier on because I wanted the products. I was in a place in my life where I was obese. In fact, my doctor said that I was grossly obese. And that was January last year. I reached out to Carol. I knew her as a wellness coach, and I asked her, I need to do something to be able to shed off the weight that I had. I was 84 kilograms then. I am 5'1", and with 84 kilograms, it means that I was really and truly not at the best place in health-wise. And Carol told me there are some products you can use that will help you. But in addition to the products, you also need to go through a program. For me, it wasn't even something to think about, and I joined. The amazing thing is, in 4 weeks, I had lost 12 kilograms. And that was amazing to me. Not only did I lose 12 kilograms, but at the end of the month, I received some money on my M-Pesa. And I wondered, oh my goodness, this is a business. I started selling some things, actually referring my family, my mom, and telling them about the products because I saw that they were working on me. I also tried the facial products and they were working on me. So when January happened and I was out of work, I just defaulted to this. And I called Carol up and I asked her, this business that we are doing, is it something that I can do full time? And she told me, yes, it is. Come and I will show you how. And I went in, all in. I didn't even think about it a second time. And from January to now, this is the business that I have been doing. From this business, I've been able to go to the Mara. You remember I told you I was working for a fully funded US government program, but the pay they were giving me, I could not take myself to the Mara. BF Suma took me to the Mara for 3 days, fully paid for. In addition to that, I have got some gifts because of the work that I have been doing. The other day, I got a coffee maker, and people who know me know how I love coffee. And I received a coffee maker just because of telling people about the products, buying the products, using the products. This is a business that I know will be able to take me to the next level. The dreams that I have, the ones that I thought I was not able to do, the dream that I had in my head of getting into a supermarket, getting into a mall, and just buying clothes without even thinking of the cost. I see it coming through in this business. And just saying yes and doing it on a daily basis. Thank you so much, Carol, and back to you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Josephine. And next, we get to hear from Crispina Lulu. Kindly come on set. Momo, kindly help with Crispina.
Yes, it's not showing. Hi, James.
We can see you, Crispina.
We can see you.
can see
You
me.
can proceed.
All right. Bright morning. My name is Crispina Lulu. I joined this business while I was unwell. I had gone through a very tough season in my life that caused me depression and hypertension. I worked in a family business for 32 years. I made it my business to make sure that my family was well taken after for 32 years, but choices and decisions were made that really affected my health, and I had to choose. And a day like today, 30th September, I remember it with nostalgia because it's the day I made the hardest decision of my life to leave a home that I had actually built for 32 years, because that's the last day that I was admitted at the mental hospital. So when I left, I stayed and started afresh and looked for something to do. I started a business of selling clothes that I did for about 1 year. When it was last year, a friend of mine saw like I had some issues and she thought it was hormonal imbalance and asked me to visit our wellness center and get some product that is called Feminagy. When I reached there, I found there was a doctor. I decided to do a bioscan, and that was a turnaround for my health. I was put on products that helped me with my depression and hypertension. And as I was healing, I registered as a consumer. That January, when I still had my shop at Isili, I received 5,000. It was on the 15th of January. And that's the same day that we are supposed to pay for our, they used to call it lodge fee. I was very happy because I had not done any sales from the beginning of the month until that 15th. So I was able to pay for that money. I called our leader, Carol, because I knew her. I asked her, oh, I got some money. Oh, how does it go? So I decided to be going to the wellness center every Friday to listen to the doctor's training. January 2024, there was an incentive to go to Masai Mara. I was taught how to do it. I ran with it because I really needed it. I was still taking my antidepressants then. So I went for the Mara and it worked out very well for me. Then this year in April is when I made the decision to do this as a business because I had seen everything. The system was working. I saw people getting cars at KICC. This year again, I saw people get cars at Kasarani. I've seen people traveling. And since I've just gone to the Masai Mara, I'm looking forward to go to the intercontinental and the international trips and also get the car, because right now I use the Ubers, while back then when I was building that family business, I actually owned a very nice car. But as Carol said, success requires stepping out into the unknown. And that's what I did. And I'm glad I found this space. It has grown me. I'm well, health-wise, financially, I'm doing better. And I'm looking forward to get the monies and all this, the incentives that this system offers. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you so much, Crispina. And last but not least, Momo. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Carol. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is James Momo. I am a former banker, but as I was always working at the bank, I had this thing that ilikuwa tu inanisumbua sana, entrepreneurship. So even as I was working there, any free time I would get would be to try and do a business here and there. I have tried so many businesses, and I still run today a business in photography. And I met this business about 2 years ago, where someone came and spoke to me and told me, I know, Momo, you like making money. And I know if you try this business, you can actually do it. And one of the things that has kept me here is because I discovered that this business also has systems, just the same way that there are systems in banking, and it requires consistency. That's the foundation of this particular business. And it goes beyond just serving clients. You are able to build and get rewarded for building something of your own. While I was still a banker, Whatever I was doing for my employer. I'm doing for him, and I get paid at the end of the month. But here, I'm actually able to build something for myself. And at the core of it, it's people driven. And we are able to actually help people improve their health while you're able to create a second stream of income. When I was working, all the stress that was in my mind was, what if this job disappears? One day, you can wake up, and like some people even this year woke up and they found out they cannot access their bank job anymore. They have been fired. But this opportunity actually enables you. You don't even need to change careers. All you need to do is come in, plug into a simple, ready-made system. And this system, it values different things: discipline, leadership, relationships. All these are qualities that, for me as a banker, I was already doing those things. So even when I'm doing this, I'm still making use of those qualities as well. And the good thing is, the more I keep on guiding people to make better choices for their money, better choices for their health, the more recognition and rewards that I get, the more financial growth I get as well. Last year, we were on that trip to Masai Mara, and I'm actually looking forward, 2026, to be driving a black Range Rover. That is the dream that I currently have when it comes to the car. Of course, in the comments, I've actually written around the resort-like mansion that I want to build. I have a photo of that particular mansion from 2016 that I still keep on looking at every single time. And I have to build that house because you will be able to see it. In fact, they will need to name that stage after me because of the kind of resort-like house that I'm going to build there. And so one of the things that I want to welcome you, who is a guest today, come, we will show you a way to be able to move beyond the limits that exist with salaries, and you can be able to create true freedom without losing the structure and the professionalism that you are used to in your current career. Thank you very much. Back to you, Carol.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mumo. Excellent. I can actually see that mansion. I can see it in my head. Excellent. And now, just to close it up, the results you're hearing, they are real. Yet again, I know that some people will leave this place and say that's how they speak. Those results are not real. These people are not in the Maldives. I don't know what could have brought you here. It could be the income, it could be the travel, it could be health insurance, it could be a villa, it could be just the social capital that you get around the people that we work with, the friendships, the fun. I don't know what your dream is, but each one of those dreams is very so possible with us. Imagine the path is very clear and it is simple, yet not easy. It requires you to say yes to the person that invited you to this opportunity. Once you have said yes, they will be able to plug you in with a starter kit like you have seen in the previous, either at 11,000, 50,000, 160,000, or any amount in between 11,000 and that 160,000. And thereby you will become a part of our mastermind trainings. You will get a back office for your business, and you will be able to monitor your business internationally. More importantly, you will have a platform and a system to be able to purchase and promote your products. You will be having an opportunity to expand your distribution of these products across Africa, around the world, thereby being able to generate your personal income and wealth. You will be introduced to other mentors. We are a group of very many business partners. You'll find new people, mentors. You'll be introduced to associations, to different levels of training. to masterminds that we hold, like we're having one on Saturday morning, and you'll be able to enrich your life. But more importantly, you will be able to create a life that you have envisioned for yourself in the past, now, and in the future. Thank you so much for being a part of this presentation. I ask that take time to speak to the person that, did I just lose it?
We can hear you.
Right. I'm not sure what exactly happened. Momo, are you there?
Yeah, we are here. We can hear you.
Right. Just take it on and close the meeting for us. Invite the people, the guests, because I don't know what has happened on my end. Invite the guests to be able to speak to the persons that invited them to have a chance to be a part of this very great opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Carol, for that as well. And thank you for the great presentation. Right. One of the things that I'll ask you if you're here as a guest, first of all, think about, do you really want to stay the way life is? Because if you do, things will never change. Or do you want to make a decision to improve your life? That is the opportunity that currently exists in front of you. And so at this moment, I'll ask you, please text or call the person who invited you to this meeting. Tell them what impressed you about the meeting. Ask any questions that you may have, and they will answer all those questions for you. And we look forward to celebrating your growth towards financial freedom. Let's close with a prayer.